I'm sorry, are you physically pulling the ship? What's going on here?
I mean, you still have to overcome the mass.
That shouldn't be affected by the actual physical controls on the ship. The dude's like, oh my god, this pulls so hard. Like, you know, he was doing a car without manual transmission. Or automatic transmission, I should say. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with another episode of Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Destiny. We did a whole thoughts thing about the last two episodes we watched. Well, the last two episodes before the last episode that we watched. But anything still sticking with you about specifically the last episode?
The last episode. Well, I didn't. It's at the end of the last episode, of the previous to last episode, and I think it's something that will run through the entirety of the show. It's not Arthur's. It's
Atherin Zala.
It's Chin's questions, because he asks us two questions. You know, not only, you know,
who's your daddy? What does he do?
What do you guys want, right? And why do you want to start the war again? Right? Do you intend to start the war again? And I think that, which goes to the question of the first season, how do you end the war? Now the question is, why would you start, considering how disruptive and destructive the war was last time, why would you want to start it again? And I think that's the question of this season. Maybe not, because we're 49 or 48 episodes to go, so that might change 47. Very quickly. 47. So, you know.
I don't know. It's not what I thought you were going to bring up. I thought you were going to focus on the Atherin thing, not specifically because you confused momentarily Shin for Atherin, but the fact that Atherin's name has been thrown out twice now, and literally was the end of last. Well, it's in the end of last two episodes back to back, with Luna Maria pointing, or you know, Kigali says Atherin, and Luna Maria goes Atherin, and then you know, Durandal literally points out, that's not your name. And if that's not true about you, what is true about you? Atherin Zala.
I did point out during the episode that he probably did recognize it. Like, well, maybe he didn't. But I was right. He did recognize him. Didn't. That's why also Atherin was wearing those, you know, hate blockers. So that
I mean, that is dumb. That was dumb. That was dumb when Char was playing basketball. That was dumb.
No. Lunar football.
No, that's the helmet it comes from. In Origin, we actually see him playing basketball during the Academy days.
Did he?
Yep. Like, I
don't remember that point.
Yeah, no, well, there is a scene of him playing basketball. That's with him wearing the glasses. That's pre-Lino. That's pre-Lino giving him the whole headset thing. So,
and then getting killed for it. Like, thank you for the helmet.
Well, he didn't get killed because of that. It wasn't like, bad gift. You know? No return policy. But yeah, you know, World's Greatest Detective Lino, still harp about that. Where he jumped a step or two about figuring this guy out. But yeah, I don't know. It's just bad. It is worse than Clark Kent Superman, right? Because even Clark Kent, you know, glasses on, hunched over, different mannerisms. This is still Atherin acting like Atherin with goggles on. He's like if Bono had an alter ego. U2's Bono.
Yeah. And he does wear glasses all the time as Bono, so.
Yeah, it turns out that he's like a serial killer at night when he takes glasses off. I guess a slight connection to One Piece, to a different show I've never seen before, so I don't actually know. Well, the voice actor for Cavendish in One Piece is the same voice actor that plays Durandal in a different show. And you were pointing out that Durandal is an important mythological sword, I believe. And I was like, I know other Durandals, so it's not like a super important thing all the time.
It is the sword.
Real quick before we move on, before you describe it, the connection was that the guy Cavendish, who voice actor has also played Durandal, is also a guy who, when he falls asleep, turns into a prolific serial killer in One Piece.
Okay.
So that was the connection to Bono being a serial killer in U2, if he takes his glasses off, which is something I just made up, by the way. Again, for the legal point in the audience, to connecting that to Durandal, to connecting that to this show.
Yes. And I do believe that Durandal is from the Matter of France and the Matter of Rome, which are the sort of three epic medieval poems about each one of the nations, right? Like the story of those nations. Like the Matter of Britain has to do with, it's a version of the Arthurian legend. The Matter of France is Charles the Great, Charlemagne, and his knights, his paladins.
What's a paladin?
And one of his paladins, his magical sword, essentially, because it's unbreakable, right? It can cleave through stone, is Durandal. And there's another sword that is from an ogre, like a man who is very strong, and so it's a whole thing which I haven't dealt in a long time, and we'll have to do another wiki walk one of these days.
Otherwise, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that the Shin thing is going to last for very long. But which I don't mean that Shin's going to last very long. The questions, I don't think the questions are going to last very long. I feel like those are going to be rather immediate answers. Like, what are you up to? Why are you here? That sort of thing. Because I feel like, as was pronounced last episode, he's going to be very confrontational about this. It's not going to be an answer when you want sort of thing. It's going to be a, I want answers now. Especially if the whole Athrun Zala thing gets out. I have to believe that Athrun, being a friend of Kira, as much as it was said in the first season and shown, has to be known to a guy who might consider Kira to be revenge target 1. I feel like Shin is going to be the Char Astable of our series. And that Kira Yamato is going to be
Diablo?
Degwin Zabi? Well, if I said he's Char, why would you think it's... Well, so, because you're probably focusing on relationship statuses that I don't actually know yet. I'm saying Char to Degwin because he's going to blame him for the death of his family.
True.
Yeah, whereas I don't think Char has much... Char doesn't even know who Amuro is, really. This is a... Sorry, Iron-Blooded Orphans is the only thing coming to my head now. Like the first 3 episodes where, oh god, I forget his name. It's a really cool name too. It's like Krieg, something like that. Zek. I can't remember. There's a what seems like he's going to be a really important guy in like the first 3 episodes of Iron-Blooded Orphans. Once he finds out that the Gundam is being piloted by a kid. He's like, or no, it's not the Gundam's being piloted. Once he finds out that like all the people that they're fighting right now are like kids who are being forced to fight against him, he's like, fuck, I can't do this. And so he goes out and goes, I'll challenge their best fighter 1-on-1. In that worst case, I have to kill 1 kid instead of killing a bunch of kids. And then he just fucking gets murked in like the first 3 episodes. But kind of has that same feel to me, that antagonistic relationship, but only for like a 1-on-1 sort of thing. Krieg? God damn it. Crank! His name was Crank. It's a cool name. To me, anyway.
You said Crank.
Crank Zet or Crank Zeke or something like that. Anything else?
Nope.
All right, well, actually, let's go ahead and hop on into it.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's 0 pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
I have to think this is the last time we're getting this. I'm realizing that's based on information you don't know. Non-spoilers, but I have a folder filled with all of the episodes.
Yeah.
And I think all of them had the same opening or the same thumbnail image, and then everything else doesn't seem to have that. No. Sorry, I missed that the first time. So I was right on what are the targets of Shin going to be. I very specifically said that blame isn't always logical, and he could blame her dad.
Yeah.
And if he believes in the transitive property of things, he could blame Kigali. And he does seem like he said her last name, so he blames all of them.
Yeah.
I guess weird that they call them Zaku's. I mean, it's very much to, what was his name, Azumi? It's very much to Azumi's belief. Well, he very specifically said, if anyone ever hurt you, I'd want to hurt them. Which was his argument against her going out to fight, because he was trying to convince her about the cyclical nature of aggression as well. And now here we have Shin, who's in fact blaming Azumi for not capitulating.
I love the song.
Yeah. I mean,
I like the beat anyway.
Again, I don't have as much of a problem with it as like the first opening of Seed, which again was a fake out. At least this one stays standard, like it's the same song all the way through. And again, it's not like I have a problem with combined songs. I like Dragon Force. I like Rhapsody, which is like classical and rap or classical and rock. I like mixtures of song types. It's just they tend to be obvious from the start, and Seed opening 1 was literally a fake out. It starts classically and then instantly changes and then drops out the classical element completely. It doesn't come back.
Yeah.
I will say this isn't like my preferred genre of music either, so really has nowhere to go for me. I think
it's very J-pop, so.
Well, I think I prefer like literally the Mobile Suit Gundam 79 to this. It's like, again, it's just differences of opinions of musical genres. So what is your record? That we weren't supposed to have been fighting at all, so you should be 0 for 0.
Yeah, 0 for 2.
You'd think in space you'd have to be even more strict about hairstyles, like military cuts and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're like her and you've like put all of the firmer on.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't want like stray hairs floating around getting into the electronics. God forbid you have dandruff. I keep thinking that guy in the front controls might be one of the guys from the Archangel. Like a grown-up Arch, but it's only been like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Canaver, I told you it was her. I want to know what happened to Yazik's mom.
Yazik's mom has it going on?
Well, one, she does. But, but two, she was also on Patrick's side the whole way. And Yazik is in the opening, so I have to believe he's still out and about. But I'm not thinking that, you know, Yazik took the blame for his mother's actions either.
Well, Sean is no more. Whoever Sean was, I don't remember who Sean was, but...
Well, Rusty was really important to the backstory elements of the characters in Season 1, but fuck knows who we know who he was. Apparently he got his own manga, so maybe Sean has his own manga. They spelled it different. It was S-H-A-W-N in the subtitles, and there was S-E-A-N on her control console.
But why didn't they use their cloaking device to escape?
Maybe once they recognized it was a cloaking device, they'd be able to track it since they have the same technology themselves. I think those were Gottfried's. I'm sorry, are you physically pulling the ship? What's going on here?
I mean, you still have to overcome the mass.
That shouldn't be affected by the actual physical controls on the ship. The dude's like, oh my god, this pulls so hard. Like, you know, he was doing a car without manual transmission. Or automatic transmission, I should say. I was hoping it would be something stupid, like it was a solar panel was going to reflect it back or something.
No. I also appreciate that the show so far has been using actual text on the text on screen. Unlike the other one where I already told you about the Oakley's advertisement. For half a second, I almost wanted to go back and check because one of the characters here is named Oakley, and it was like, oh, were they actually talking about a guy? But no, that was an advertisement from a news report. Okay, what? That's not very efficient.
No, it's not, because inertia would have kept you going just as fast. It's not faster, because you're actually dragging yourself down. They were actually told by Arthur that they're supposed to capture them. Give us back our stuff. I will say this. Is Talia here? I really miss Bad Girl.
Oh.
She was really good at her job. Yeah, but Bad Girl also looked better. I don't be that guy, but I am an asshole, I guess. But she was just really good at her job, and Talia is just weird haircut for me right now. Don't look at me. Just do what I said. I don't think Bad Girl would have fallen into this either.
Oh, you're not.
4番、6番スラスター破損。艦長、これでは身動きが。進路、塞がれます。さらにモビルアーム、モビルスーツ接近。エイブス、レインを出して。は、しかしカタパルトが。歩いてでも何でもいいから急いで。シンたちは？
I just didn't tell her to ram through the door or something. Well, are you in luck?
Yeah, that smile of his is not.
He's always smiling. Don't like knock a guy for smiling. Also, there's got to be like a little bit of comeuppance on this play here, right? Like, oh, looks like the son of Patrick Zala's got to get his hands dirty again. Like, we did it like twice in the whole first season of Seed, and now it's like every fucking time. Oh, what's that Ray launched? Also, what fucking colony are we at?
I think these are the pieces from the last battle.
I don't think so.
They said there was the orbital debris.
Yeah. Janus 7 is the majority of that orbital debris. And we know that that other one was way off. Like, behind the moon way off.
Talia. 確かにね。いいわ。やってみましょう。艦長。この件は後で話しましょう。アーサー。右舷側の下方すべて発射準備。右舷スラスター。全開と同時に一斉射。
He's doing everything he can not to get into a mobile suit again.
Yep. White baldy.
Sean, John, and Miller. At least they're not styles of pants.
Yeah.
To be fair, that guy looked like a Miller.
Yeah, and didn't get away with it.
They do show us a lot of shots of inconsequential damage. What's the second time Ray has been shot where they've shown us like a burn on the Gundam or on the mobile suit? I can't tell if I'm supposed to be focusing on it or if it's just like they're just showing us stuff.
I think they're showing that you're gonna get damaged, right? That you're not completely immune from
Well, I mean, it's the second time in 2 different fights, but they just shown it that the thing got burnt a little bit, and that's it.
追撃不能にまで追い込めばいい。大差は面白くないかもしれんが、こちらのモビルスーツもそろそろパワーが辛いだろうからな。ボギー1、距離150。
総員、衝撃に備えよ。行くわよ。
I guess the advantage here is that after it does launch eventually, we'll have the most power to mobile suit because everyone else is running out of power.
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
Well, it's gotta be mitigated by the fact that it's less gravity.
I mean, inertia, no, not really. It's a hard surface and you're being slammed. It's the acceleration that
Well,
gets
it's
you.
like being slammed back when you're underwater, right? If it depends on the amount of force being pressed upon you.
Yeah, but also water is also a matter of...
It's a cushion. Less gravity is basically the equivalent of having a watery cushion. That's why astronauts train in pools.
No, but the medium, here the medium is still air, so...
Right, but the less gravity is reducing the amount of force being pressed upon you.
No.
Yeah, it's this equivalent of falling a distance in less gravity, you weigh less, essentially, so you're hitting the ground with less force. It's the amount of force being applied to them by the impact, or actually the pressure of being pushed away by the blast that they're firing, that matters. Not the medium that they're in. I wouldn't appreciate it if my dude was calling. Well, never mind, they're on the evil guy side. Bad antagonists, they're on the antagonist side. No moral judgments until we find out who they are. Even though we're really in the gray on this. Everyone's really in the gray. Talia Gladys. I'd have to think this was actually a mirror to season 1. They would send another ship out and then they would pull back. Because that's what happens about now in season 1.
Yeah.
That would be when Selman shows up, the guy I told you about. They're sisters, right?
I don't know.
They've been on the board since season 1. I think it's Luna Maria Hawk and Marion Hawk.
Luna Maria Hawk. Yeah, I guess, yeah, they are sisters.
And that's when Kigali got kidnapped. It's even weirder from the front because it's like little seagull wings or something going on. I guess that's where the hat sits.
Do they have magnetized boots or is that a gravity ring or something that they're...
It wasn't gravity in the first season. No. Literally why they had the belts go around the walls, because you put your hand on the belt and it pulls you along. Ah, Flay.
その存在そのものも偽りということになるのかな。
It's weird. Do you think these would be regrets that Kira would be having?
本当に名前まで変えなきゃなんないもんなの？だってあの人前は何言ってんのよあんたは。いくら昔あ
I don't know why. I thought she was about to throw up.
へえ、ちょうどあなたの話をしていたところでした。
Oh, I guess she just like regrets saying something out of
Yeah,
turn.
yeah. It's just, you know, apropos of her just shoving her hands against her mouth and turning around real quick.
お会いできるなんて光栄です。
そんなものじゃない。俺はアレックス。
Alex Dino. It's a name I chose.
モビルスーツにも乗らない。
よせよルナ。オーブなんかにいるやつに何も分かってないんだから。失礼します。
He's all of Orb now.
でも船の危機は救ってくださったそうでありがとうございました。あ、待ってよ、お姉ちゃん。
Well, there you go. His sister. Younger sister, apparently.
そんなはずないだろう。いや、何度も確認した。見てくれ、こっちが2時間前のだ。今も少しずつだが間違いなく動いてる。
Are they monitoring Janus 7's wreckage?
ユニウス7は安定機能にあるはずだぞ。
Oh God. This is where we get
But who would be doing
Operation British.
it? Let's say who would be doing it, though.
Somebody who wants to start
Literally,
the war.
both sides consider it to be like sacred ground.
Yeah, a third party who wants to start the war.
Well, technically, the Earth Alliance only considers it sacred ground because they did the treaty there.
Yeah.
I don't know that the pits of Janus 7 are large enough. They wouldn't equate to an Operation British. I said that. I said this would be a thing he'd be doing.
Which explains all this debris here and
Now,
the pieces of Janus in the back.
We saw. You really should have seen the episodes for Janus 7. When they run out of supplies on the Archangel and they need water and they go to Janus 7 because Janus 7 had the big old lakes and everything. And they end up cutting out bits of the debris, and that's the episode that we go there, and I think you saw the bit where they open the door and it's the like space mummification thing of the child holding. It could be 3 different ships, literally. I mean, it doesn't have any coloration about it, so we can't tell if it's that. Well, I guess technically the Dominion is gone, but it could be the Orb original ship too.
That kind of looks like they crashed on Earth. They crashed Janus 7 on Earth, or what was left of it.
Again, I think that's the space laser.
Either way,
because it looks more like the
Earth.
space laser than Janus 7. Well, you're right. It's Janus 7.
失われた者たちの記憶か、それとも失った者たちの涙か。
I don't know what the fuck those people are.
今またアスランの胸を
It's my boy. It's my boy.
次回機動戦士ガンダムシードデスティニー。癒えぬ傷跡。切なる思い叩きつけろ。ジン。
I think that's a play on the fact that I want to say Scars in Space or something was like the episode where they went to Janus 7. Something like that. Yeah, it wouldn't be the equivalent of Operation British.
It'd still be pretty devastating.
Yeah, yeah, it would be.
Metal.
It would be like dropping meteors on them. It'd be like the Babylon 5 where you see Londo watching them dropping asteroids on Narn.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's not big enough to be the equivalent of Island Ifish. I mean, one, we saw it just there. It's like the front bit of Island Ifish at most.
Yeah.
So yeah, it depends on if they're targeting something specifically. They could make it as effectual as Operation British, but it wouldn't be as world devastating. I mean, I say that from the perspective of seeing that, thinking back to what I've seen before. I'm obviously not a writer on the show. They could make it if they wanted to.
Yeah.
I just don't think it will be. Especially because we saw it in the background of the ending scene. It's way not big enough. I don't even think it'd be as effective as 1/3 of Operation Iffish. 1/3 as big as the part of Island Iffish that hit the Earth. Because that would be 1/3. Yeah, it broke into thirds. That's why I'm saying. I don't even think it would be as equivalent to that. It would just be a giant thing falling from space at this point, you know.
Still be devastating to whatever it hits.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that. I agree with you there.
To considerably kill millions, which would still be considered a crime, a weapon of converting a station into a weapon of mass destruction that would kill millions. Enough to start a war.
It is also just a giant thing floating in space. It might not be anyone's blame.
Yeah, but why would it suddenly change course?
I don't know that it is changing. Well, that's the thing, is that they've never shown that there's been like a monitoring station for the debris before. So that's why I said in the middle, I was like, are they monitoring Janus 7? Because one of the screens on the side said Janus 7. It's like, why would you monitor it?
Just in case.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, I'm not asking, like, it'd be a dumb question. Why would you monitor it? That's self-evident. My point is that we never got shown anyone monitoring it. Season 1, all we got shown was that they were going to do a memorial cruise around it. And that was when Lacus shows up in her escape pod. And the indication was asking, we asked back then, or I did it specifically, who attacked the memorial ship. Because the indication that Lacus gives is that a bunch of Earth Federation types boarded the ship and were very angry, according to her. And then she got shoved into an escape pod, and then we see the ship is just floating, like, destroyed. And then I want to say Zaku now, because of Universal Century and the fact that we have Zaku's here. A Jin was floating around, and that's what Kira gets into a fight with Jin, and I had the supposition that maybe it was like a false flag sort of thing. That maybe Patrick had it attacked, because it's actually Siegel's kid, and Siegel's in charge of the council at the time. Maybe that's why the Jin's there, and we'll find out actually the Jin was out there looking for Lacus in case she survived, or any survivors for that matter. So that's the only indication of anything happening around Janus 7, because specifically, again, the Archangel grave robbed the place before. So. Also, the way that Janus 7 looks, that none of the debris that looks like we were fighting in looked like it would belong to Janus 7, because Janus 7 looked like a plant.
Yeah.
And the place we were fighting in looked like the cloning base, the weird people's space station.
It looks more like a traditional 79 space station type
site. I call it a weird people's space station because that's what they called it. When they indicated that place, they said, oh, there was a bunch of weird people here, and we kicked them all out. So I'm calling it the weird people's space station because it's the only one that looks like it. Well, I mean, any other thoughts?
No. I'm still thinking that there's a third or fourth or fifth or 10th.
Okay, we would be like 6th faction, I think. Well, it depends. Do we consider the sub-factions of the Earth Alliance to be factions in that they operate against one another in some places? Like, again, the Atlantic Federation orchestrated a bunch of the other Alliance members to be at Josh A, so they would lose more than the Atlantic Alliance. So do we consider the sub-factions to be factions in that they have hands? Again, the Atlantic Federation
cross-purpose.
Well, the Atlantic Federation is playing its hand against Orb.
Going back, one thing that Durando mentioned is that Blue Cosmos is not an organization, it's an ideal.
Yeah, we already talked about that.
It could be Blue Cosmos again, going at it again. Right?
Except that Blue Cosmos. Well, I mean, Durandal's wrong, though. I mean, he's right and he's wrong. He says it's not an organization. It is an organization, but it is also a belief. So he's right and he's wrong. I mean, we didn't.
Well,
literally all we did was we killed Blue Cosmos as a leader. We didn't destroy the faction.
Exactly. So they could still be around, right?
Well, that's what I meant. But he's wrong in that they are a faction. They're not just an ideal. You know, you have the KKK, but you also just have independent racists that believe what the KKK believes, right? So you can have racists, but you can also have racist organizations. So saying the KKK is not an organization, it's an ideal. It's just a fucking crazy thing to say.
Well, I think it's supposed to mean that we cannot discount them. The Blue Cosmos is done with because the war's over. Like they're still around in some format. Oh, they could reform again, right, and still pose a threat.
Right.
It could still be.
But that's making what Durandal says like more important than stupid. What he said was stupid in the aspect of if he was trying to imply that Blue Cosmos isn't done because we won the war. No shit. Blue Cosmos was like had a bunch of members in the war in that they were like infiltrating the highest levels of government, but they weren't the ones fighting the war. You know, it's the Nazi party wasn't fighting the war. The German government was. It just so happened they were controlled by a bunch of fucking Nazis. Yeah. Nazis aren't done because we won the war. Neo-Nazis today are proof of that.
Which is, I think, what the point was all about, right?
Yeah, again, it's maybe
it might be.
I said he was right and he was wrong.
I think it's poorly worded, but the idea is still valid.
The thing is, I feel like they were trying to soundbite a thought that required more thought than a soundbite. You know, this would be great for a Twitter clip. Not Twitter clip. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying here. I don't know these spaces well enough to make these statements. We're trying to make a really serious thought into a TikTok snippet, right? Yeah. And sometimes these thoughts just require more time to explain than TikTok will give you. Don't turn a really important thought into a sentence. Sometimes political opinions, political thoughts, things of those natures aren't the unified field theory, right? You can't boil down everything important into a single scientific thought. There are just independent thoughts out there that don't mesh with everything.
More that they're incomplete in a way.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's the nature of things, is that we're probably not existing in the lifetime of the unified field theory.
Nope.
It's too much universe. Too much in the macro, too much in the micro, and that is politics as well. There's too much in the politicians that have to work together and are playing the politics game. There's too much in the macro of politicians having to deal with the world stage of politics outside of their spectrum, but still have to, you know, your Georgia senator that has to go to actual country of Georgia to, you know, represent American politics there, where they don't fucking know what the hell's going on there. They're playing their home Georgia politics game of trying to be more important than they actually are. Well, yeah, I guess there's not much else here because, unfortunately, I feel like we're probably in the space of the first season occupied as well, which is to say the first, 10 episodes were maybe the weakest.
Yeah, because he's trying to set up everything. It's set piece setting, right? You're setting the pieces like, oh, this will be important later, so we have to use this character, we do this situation, and this is a Minerva, and this is it. But we also need to have action because we need to have fights between these people, right? Otherwise, it's kind of boring because we're gonna pull a Yang talking, hearing a computer telling us this for like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
so
I'm not blaming it. I'm not blaming it for it. Yeah. I mean, I just understand that it's the weakest. It was in the first season. Hell, my favorite show, Gurren Lagann, is literally a build-up show. And the first 5 or 6 episodes, I have to admit, are pretty weak there. It's doing the same thing as this show.
Yeah. I mean, for what they are, they're what they are, they're pretty good. They're pretty solid.
Again, I don't know. I think they're only solid because we have, well, you less so, but for me, we have the build-up of the first season.
And we have the context of the first season.
Yeah, you have the context from the movies, but again, the third movie is pretty good. The first 2 are so hard rushed. I mean, I know why, but I'm just watching everything go by. I'm like, oh man, you're losing all the context and the importance and the character relationships. You're getting like if somebody painted a picture of what the book was about. So yeah, I kind of missed that out. That's why every time something happens and I explain, oh well, if you were in the show, you would see 3 episodes of explaining this instead of the 2.5 minutes you got during the movie. All right. Well, Final thought?
Looking forward to in about. Well, I don't want to say this on stream because it doesn't matter. Looking forward to the next episodes. I do expect that we're gonna probably be this between the first 5 or 10 episodes, kind of rethreading. Because I thought it was going. The one thing I would say, I thought it was going to be a chase sequence, like the Minerva was always going to be chasing the ship, right? Like, no, we're gonna cut that in half, which is fine because you can only rethread so much. I mean, literally, the original show, Seed was a rethread of, oh, we're being chased around, right? If we have that here again, it's like, why am I watching this again? I just watched a season of that, and if I watch, 40 or some episodes of the original, they did the same thing. It feels like Voyager to like TNG and the original, or even Enterprise, like, oh, we're getting another ship being, going places and doing the same things over and over again, right?
Two things.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with you if not for the fact of the preview that we just saw, which is already changing stuff, right? Because we were in that chase sequence for a long time in season 1 because the original show was that way.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. But we're doing Operation British, but we're not, but we are. So obviously that's already a mega change. But 2, I would say not Voyager, but Deep Space Nine, right?
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine is where we go from huge, long-lasting plot line with consequences that last more than the episode we're in, versus Voyager, which is the TNG. Every episode is kind of self-contained except for the season enders.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean more thematically of like you're in the station Deep Space Nine, and then Warrior is like we're just again in the ship, going places, right? Every episode we go to a new planet or encounter a new alien or an older.
I'm in
alien
that minority that really liked Voyager, but I will admit it was a squandered opportunity because you could have had the Deep Space Nine consequences, things matter, but now infinite shuttlecraft.
Yeah,
that's why the books. I read the Voyager books. The books kind of have consequences matter, but that's only because books are like more than an episode could contain per thing.
Yeah, and also their own continuity as well. So
yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it for this episode. Once again, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?